Hello everyone. Welcome to the series of Australian literature. We are discussing Australian literature here, and this is the first part of Australian literature series. And today's class is about the major novels of Australian literature, and that is divided into two sessions, and this is the first part of it. So, major novels part 1. The first novel to come from Australia is titled as Quintus Servinton, a tale founded upon incidents of real occurrence, which was published in 1831. So it is known as the first novel written and published in Australia. The author's name is Henry Savary. So you can remember the name of the novel as Quintus Servinton, and the eponymous hero Quintus Servinton in this novel navigates the harsh realities of convict's life. So, this is the first novel, and the second novel, or the first novel written by a woman in Australia, was The Guardian. The Guardian, a Tale. And the novelist's name is Anna Maria Bunn. So, the first female novelist from Australia is Anna Maria Bunn. The novel was published privately initially, not for sale. She was recovering from some mental distress, and that is how to recuperate from that she wrote this novel, and finally this became the first novel written by a woman in Australia. The novel The Guardian is set in Ireland. The plot is a mix of gothic novel and comedy of manners, which is interesting. Written partly in the form of letters, that means it is partly an epistolary novel. And the letters are exchanged between two former school friends, Jessie and Clara. And part of the novel is in third person. Its themes include the search for security and the ups and downs of marriage, everything. And it is also expressed in a very melodramatic gothic plot culminating in infanticide and suicide. So many graphic details are there, which even shocks the contemporary readers of the novel. So it spread some shock waves across the readers when it was published. Now we have another novel by Thomas Maccombe, The Adventures of a Colonist, which was published in 1845. Thomas Maccombe was a journalist, historian, novelist, merchant, and politician. And in this novel called The Adventures of a Colonist, he brought about a romanticized portrayal of colonial life in Port Phillip, today's Victoria. And this book is an example of book of travel in disguise. That means it was a time when Australia needed more settlers, more travelers into that continent in order to build a new nation. So, that way, in order to have prosperity in the new colony, they had a way of attracting the settlers or travelers by making them read these exotic books about this new strange land. So, this was such a book, and those books were known as books of travel in disguise. Moving on, here we have another name, another female novelist called Catherine Helen Spence. She was one of the leading figures of the women's suffrage movement in Australia, one of the leading pioneer feminists. So her novel Clara Morison, it was subtitled as A Tale of South Australia During the Gold Fever. The gold fever happened in 1851. It started in 1851. And so at that time, gold fever had some relevance and it attracted more readers. Maybe that is why the British publishers were intelligent enough to keep that subtitle. In a way, kind of misdirecting the reader, because this was not a novel about the gold fever. It was a, a kind of different novel, but still. So, this is about Clara. The novel is about Clara living in Edinburgh with her father and older sister Susan. But tragedy hits when the father dies and she is left destitute. You can see the book here, Clara Morison. And what happens to Clara later? Her uncles determines that Clara will be sent out to South Australia, a teenage girl alone with only €10 in her purse and a recommendation letter. She didn't have any vocation. She was not trained to do so. But still, she applied for positions as a governess, and it was much harder to find. Then she had to work as a maid, a general servant, and she had to tolerate so much. And she fell in love with Mr. Russell, and she was in love with Mr. Russell, which has a story parallel with another major novel. If you think of it, we can have a parallel to Jane Eyre there. So Clara Morison is in a way is known as the Antipodean rewriting of Jane Eyre. Antipodean means Australian. Australia is known as the upside down country, antipode. So it is the Antipodean rewriting of Jane Eyre, and our writer Spence, her plot of an orphaned governess who overcomes many trials and temptations to eventually marry her lover might initially suggest that it is closer to Jane Eyre or parallel to Jane Eyre, but it is more than that. Events with the fact that Clara Morison is now seen as both more realistic and radical than Bronte's novel, very famous novel. So now, when we think of Clara Morison, we can think of Jane Eyre together. Now we have one of the most influential writers, Marcus Clarke. He was a novelist, journalist, poet, editor, librarian, and playwright. And he is best known for his 1874 novel, For the Term of His Natural Life. The novel is actually better known as His Natural Life, but the full title is For the Term of His Natural Life. And it is about the convict system in Australia. Australia, as a nation that we see now, itself was built by the convicts. So the first convicts had started life there, and by the time Marcus Clarke and all began to write, they had the next generation. So he had enough distance from that convict life to write about it. And this novel is so famous that it has been adapted into uh, films, plays, folk opera, so many things. And the protagonist is Richard Devine or Rufus Dawes. So the story is Richard Devine, he's a young British aristocrat, son of Sir Richard Devine. And his father is a shipbuilding magnate, very rich man. One day, Richard's mother reveals to Sir Richard that his son was fathered by another man, Lord Bellasis. He is obviously angry, furious, and that fury leads to the killing of Lord Bellasis by him. But unfortunately, the father is dead within no time. due to some natural illness. And for the crime, the son Richard is arrested. That means Richard Devine, the hero, is arrested. And the police later names Richard as Rufus Dawes. And he is not guilty of murder. Maybe he is guilty of robbery, and that is how he is sent to the penal colony of Australia. On the way, during the voyage, there is a mutiny, and he is sent to one of the harshest convict camps, Macquarie Harbour, and it's a brutal settlement. Life is horrific, full of starvation, floggings, escape attempts, uh, always ended in death or even worse. And as a slight ray of hope, he has befriended a little girl called Sylvia Vickers, who was the daughter of the commandant. And she grew up believing that he's not as evil as others say, and they are trying to be together decades later, and they meet this tragic end finally. Rufus Dawes and Sylvia Vickers are killed during a storm at sea while attempting to escape in a small boat. So this is the tragic story of For the Term of His Natural Life, which was so many times imitated and parodied and adapted. You can see here as an imitation Eliza O'Flaherty. She had written in 1830 for her natural life. Sorry, in 1876 for her natural life, a tale of 1830. So this very clearly uh, can be seen as an influence of the previous novel we discussed. And this novel, For the Term of His Natural Life, still continues to draw readers into the doom and gloom of convict life. Moving on, we have another writer called Ferguson Wright Hume, one of the most prolific English novelists, and uh, he had lived in Australia for some time. He authored about 130 novels and worked in Melbourne, wrote his first and greatest novel from there, the mystery novel titled The Mystery of a Hansom Cab. It is set in Melbourne. You can see that, The Mystery of a Hansom Cab. It is a 2012 adaptation of the novel, and it involves an investigation into a homicide after a corpse is discovered in the early hours in a hansom cab. Hansom cab means this, like on the picture, a kind of horse-drawn carriage. So, the secret of the influential and enigmatic Frettleby family is discussed in this. The protagonist is a policeman named Detective Gorby, who is given the task of solving the murder. The novel provided Australia with its first international bestseller. That famous it became. Now, we have another novel, Robbery Under Arms by Rolf Baldrewood. So, his actual name was Thomas Alexander Brown, and he received this name, Rolf Baldrewood, in order to write. He was a policeman, he was a magistrate, and author. And he was a bushranger novel. It was a Robbery Under Arms is a bushranger novel and another colonial classic. So, Robbery Under Arms was published in 1888. So, the next one is A Marked Man by Ada Cambridge. Ada Cambridge was a poet and novelist, and Her first novel was Up the Murray, and despite the success of A Marked Man, her 1890 novel, her works were not well received at her time, and she was recognized later by the reading community. As she did not write in the literary tradition, and uh, it was always about harsh nature and masculine survival, and she had a totally vulnerable point of view to make, and that was not successful at that time. Now Ada Cambridge is mm, a much recognized figure in Australian studies. In this novel, A Marked Man, again the protagonist is Richard. This time Richard Delaval. He is disinherited for marrying a farmer's daughter, Annie. His following unhappy life in Australia is portrayed in the novel. An unfulfilled passion for another woman called Constance Bethune, and there is a obviously strained marriage. Her only solace is his only solace is his daughter Susan. And once Annie drowns in a boating accident on Sydney Harbour, Richard and Susan are free to marry their respective partners for love. And the father and the daughter are now free of the mother or the wife. Now, we have another interesting novel by the poet Banjo Patterson or A.B. Patterson. The novel An Outback Marriage, 1900. It was published in 1900, and it was published in the Leader newspaper in Melbourne between 13 January and 12 May 1900 under the title In No Man's Land. So, An Outback Marriage was initially published as with the title In No Man's Land. The change of title highlights different aspects of the narrative. The original title focuses on the remote and uncertain nature of the Australian bush and the moral ambiguity of life on the frontier. The later one emphasizes the developing romance plot, which was more appealing to early 20th century readers. So, that was An Outback Marriage. You can see in this novel, two main characters were there, Charlie Gordon and Carew. Charlie Gordon is a bushman who travels far into the outback to take over a cattle station for Old Man Grant. And Carew is an English new chum. New chum means newcomer into the continent or the nation, who has come to Australia to search for a missing man called Patrick Henry Considine. So, unlike his more romantic and well known ballads like The Man from Snowy River, this novel contains a more critical, though still flawed view of colonial life. It shows that some people in the early 1900s were beginning to acknowledge the hard truths about settler violence against Aboriginal people. But nevertheless, the fact that he tried to look at that colonial life in a different point of view did not really help this novel. The novel is still criticized for its racist depictions of indigenous characters. It does suggest that the pioneers were not blameless heroes. And that is how the first part of the novel ends. Thank you for listening.